Gail just sent us a question, which I think is really good. She says, what happens if she gets a rate adjustment? What is the effect on your credit report?
Nothing.
0, right?
Yeah.
All right, sweet. Okay, now, what if you get the adjustment while living in the house, but then later decide you want to move and need to rent the house because you're upside down on the mortgage? You can do that. It's just a rate adjustment.
Yeah, I mean, when you get a loan, typical loan, Fannie, Freddie, FHA, one of the things that they say to you is, you agree to live in the house for at least a year. Mm-hmm. So if you've lived in the house a year and you get a rate adjustment, it doesn't change the fact that you're now 7 years into the mortgage or 6 or 5 or 4. And actually, is anybody really knocking at the door to see if you're living in the house? Pretty much they're not.
Right.
So I do think that's, if you start paying late, they're going to wonder who's in the house. But if you're making your payments and you're doing
they
these
leave
things,
you alone, right?
I think they've got enough. The lenders have enough to worry about.
All right, I think this gets to the core of mortgage modification because Bill wants to know, is it possible to get a loan modification from Wells Fargo for we're not going to comment on specific companies.
No. I'm just saying that every week there's a different, somebody signed in one week is wehatechase.com.
Yeah.
When somebody signed in wehatewellsfargo.com. I've heard they're all loved
Ilyce,
and hated.
Let me just say on the record here for everyone to hear that we don't hate Chase.
No.
Yeah.
Somebody signed in that way.
Okay, so here's the deal. So Bill has an interest-only, non-conforming loan. Can he get a loan modification or not?
Probably not.
I didn't think so.
It just depends who owns his loan. But a lot of those interest-only loans were done sort of specially off the books.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them there's these weird Freddie Mac loans that have this kind of mortgage insurance thing that nobody seems to have agreed to, that Freddie Mac paid the premium for. And none of those loans can be modified. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of loans that cannot be modified under the government programs, collectively known as HAMP, or through even the institution's own loan modification programs. Not quite sure why this is. Don't have any good answers for you, but those interest rate loans are pretty tough, and a lot of them just aren't working.
I noticed the HAMP numbers came out yesterday, or was it the day before yesterday? I can't even remember. And they look like pretty rotten. The program stinks, basically.
The program stinks. It was interesting because the Homeownership Preservation Foundation touted earlier this week, and this was a number that came out of the Default Servicers Conference I was at on Monday. They're touting that 4 million homeowners have some sort of loan modification.
Huh?
Which sounds really fantastic, except it's really hard to figure out how those numbers add up. And who are those people?
Yeah, who are they?
Please stand up and raise your hand. But I think that they're counting everybody who maybe got an interest rate adjustment or maybe somehow got their length of the loan, went to 40 or 50-year loan. I really am not sure how they're doing that. And, of course, remember that the Homeownership Preservation Foundation is made up of, all the lenders who supposedly are all working with HAMP. So it's kind of crazy. But I really – the number to watch, folks, that you really should be interested in is what is the redefault rate. Mm-hmm. So you could have 10 million people – get loan modifications. And if 67% of them are redefaulting, that just means that 2/3 aren't working. And that's kind of the number that's happening right now. So watch
is that the number?
redefault
Is that the 2/3 number is about the right one?
Pretty much 2/3 of the loans aren't working.
Wow. Oof. That's pretty rotten.
Yeah,
actually.
It's pretty rotten. And the other number to watch, of course, is what is going on with the number of people who are underwater with their mortgages.
Yeah.
And right now that number is somewhere between 24 and 30% of people, with a huge number of those are more than 25% underwater. As those numbers continue to go up, you're going to see even more people start to redefault. And I just think those are important things to watch.
Quick question, Ilyce. Is the redefault, do you think that is a signal that it's a badly designed program, or does it just mean that, frankly, these programs can't work and we shouldn't really be bothering?
You know what? I don't necessarily think it means either of those things. I think why people are redefaulting is they don't have jobs and they're not making enough money to pay even these, new programs. And let's remember that, the minute you start paying less in these temporary loan modification programs, that missing money doesn't go away. And if they ultimately decide that you are not eligible, suddenly you're stuck with a bill for $15,000 or $20,000, which is the money you hadn't been paying. That I don't know what we thought was going to happen to that money. And so those people are at risk. But then even if you get a modification, a lot of people are writing me that their modifications are as or more expensive than what they were paying before. So what did they get there? Just, I guess, a forbearance of a few months.
Sure.
Yeah.
And do those count as well? So I think we have to look more carefully at what it really means and long-term what it really means.
Quick question here. I know, promise I'm going to shift, Megan, but from Sherry, who says she has a home in Orlando, Florida. Should I stop now? because it's nothing good is happening.
There was like an $80 million house that was recently sold in Orlando. I think I blogged about it. I was kind of amazed. I'm like, somebody would pay that to live in Orlando near Disney World, but okay.
Oh, wait a second. My brother-in-law lives in Celebration, Florida. You have no idea. That place is weird.
Yeah. It's a manufactured happy town.
And it is happy, except for all the people underwater. Okay,
and the school districts. But go ahead. We digress.
I have a home in Orlando, Florida that is severely underwater. And Sherry says, of course, I bought my house near the peak of the market. I've never been late on my mortgage payments, and I have a decent mortgage interest rate. We would like to move out of this house, but couldn't get near what we bought it, and probably not near what the current mortgage balance is now. Is there anything that can be done? This sounds to me like actually could be a rental possibility if the interest rate's all right.
If they can get somebody to rent, sure. But remember that if they go to buy something else somewhere else, this is sitting on their credit.
Yes.
So it's going to really mess with their credit debt ratio. And they're not going to be able to buy probably anything else anywhere else. The other issue is, of course, again, when you have a renter, there's more costs involved down the line. And even though the interest rate might be fine for this property now, what are the other expenses that are going to come into play? And will they be able to float those while they're living somewhere else? And then finally, I would say that, and this is for all people, you can do a short sale. But if you're not truly desperate and you have resources, the lender's going to come after you because you agreed to pay this loan off. And you may have to liquidate other assets in order to do it. If people think they're going to get a free ride on these short sales, unless you're truly desperate and out of money and out of cash and out of resources, the answer is you won't.
Right. And you know what? And I totally understand strategic foreclosure. I totally understand. I'm not a moralist. I don't judge it. It is really truly in your family's best interest that you should walk away and you have no other money, and it is really, truly better for you to rent something in your neighborhood. I get that. But I agree with you. People don't understand. This is a legal transaction. It's going to chase you for 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
I
mean, you might be in a non-recourse state, in which case they can't come after your other assets. But a lot of people are not in those kinds of states, and they can, and they will.
Okay. We got some people now who wrote in, and they are not in trouble. In fact, they're kind of psyched, and they want to capitalize on the low interest rate environment. And we've got some refinancing questions.
Okay.
This one's from Rob. I have a 7.3% rate. I owe $139,000 on the mortgage. I've been in my house for 14 years. The current value is $400,000. Although I can get a rate below 5%, I may have been in my home too long to make it practical to refinance. Huh? Wrong.
Yeah, I did the math for Rob, and he's in great shape.
All right, so
he
tell
could get
us.
anything below 6%. He'd actually come out of a winner, and he can do much, much better than that. I do have to ask the guy, what has he been doing for the past 7, 10 years? I mean, I bought my apartment 7 years ago.
He's been paying his mortgage and working and living his life and not paying attention to us.
Exactly. I think that's.
But when was the last time mortgage rates were 7.3%?
I almost can tell you what.
14 years ago, I guess.
Exactly. I think that's when I bought my first house.
They went below 6. They went below 7% in 1993.
Well, yeah. Well, jump in there, and he's going to save a lot of money.
All right, Adrienne.
And he should do a 15-year mortgage, by the way, not a 30.
Or he can do a 30, but he's got to pay it off in 15.
Sure.
Right.
But he's going to get a better rate on a 15-year.
It depends whether he needs the
Well, he's only got
cash flow.
14 years left.
I know,
on this.
but if he has kids and he's got college or whatever, I'm just
Let me
thinking
just
about
tell
it.
you something.
Yeah.
I just ran these numbers for my column this week, and it really is interesting. If you can, it's all about term length. So this guy should really, he only has, 14 years left. He really should go to try and pay off the loan in 10 years. He should try to refinance from a 7% to a 4%. I just refinanced a 15-year at 3.75%.
Oh, my God.
It's like free money. He should really try to do that, but pay off that loan and do the amortization so he pays it off in maybe 7 years. And in fact, what he'll be able to do with a 15-year mortgage at 3.75% is with double payments, which should be doable for him. He'll pay off the loan in something like, I think, 6 or 7 years. And he should really aim for that because that's where his big savings is coming in. And for everybody refinancing, it is not about the interest rate. It's about shaving the number of payments that you're making, cutting the length of the term. Every year that you can cut off saves you that year's worth of payments, and it's worthwhile.
Hold on. Financial planner reality check for a second.
Yes.
Some people can't need that extra cash flow.
Yes, they
right?
do.
Like,
so
for
then they
example,
shouldn't.
my man, Jack Otter here, has got these 2 beautiful children to put through school. And for someone like him, I think it is important to keep cash flow available so he can pay for school. And so I get nervous when people will say 15 years, I got to get it to 15 years, but then they get their college age kids and they're screwed.
Well, but
And-
then they have a free mortgage payment every month to put towards the college education if they're paid off by then.
But also, you're paying the mortgage in after-tax dollars.
Yeah.
So purely as a matter of math, you're better off putting that money in a 401k rather than paying
No.
off your mortgage.
No.
Absolutely.
Well, that's only if the 401k actually makes money. In the last decade, the 401ks have not made
Well,
any
yes,
money.
they have. They have. If they're diversified, they
Yeah.
have. If they're all stocks, they haven't. If they're diversified, we have the math, they have.
And actually, the academic study that looked at this didn't put the money in stocks because it's too risky.
But then you have to
Just
take,
put it in
okay, wait,
bonds.
wait. 401k, that's fine. But then you take the money out of the 401k and you've got a tax consequence.
Right, but it's compounded pre-tax dollars.
Yes, so you have more money in the pot that you can't take out until you pay taxes on it.
But you still end up with more money
You
in the end.
You might end up with slightly more money, but you have to.
You actually end up with more money if it's a 529 plan because you pay no tax
And
on the way.
so
down.
If they
529.
okay,
Yeah.
529
That's
plans,
more
right? If they haven't totally messed with you, like many 529 plans did.
Whoever heard of such a thing?
I
Ilyce?
know, it's kind
we
of
were
a
just talking about this at lunch.
I know, but the 529 plans, and am not referring to the one that I am in, but there are many 529 plans across the country that absolutely went bananas, and they were supposed to do age-based stuff. They didn't,
Right.
as you guys know.
Yes.
They've really messed with people's finances. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's not. We were just talking about this
Yep.
one little thing, and I know the financial planner over there.
I'm
you
sorry.
know, always thinking about the life consequences. But
I am. I'm
I found that a
sorry.
lot of the people who write in, this does work for you to think about
Yes.
shaving years off. So if you can go from 30 years to 25 years, or if you have 25 years left, instead of bumping back up to a 30-year, try to bump down.
I'm just looking, by the way, at the screen as Ilyce was talking, and your
Yes.
eyes are sparkling today. It's that fabulous makeup. Okay, Adrienne from Dallas
Thank you,
writes,
CNN.
We had a balloon mortgage. Can kill my husband for that one.
Oh,
It's always the husband.
It is, of course.
Okay, I had to refinance by August of this year. When we did, we got locked into a rate that was higher than the current low rates. That was due to us having a home equity line of credit with Bank of America. Bank of America dragged their heels and wouldn't allow a change in paperwork. Ridiculous. Okay, our rate on a 30-year is 5 1/8. We're not planning on moving. We have excellent credit. Our house is valued at, let's say, I'm going to give you 300. Our remaining mortgage balance, 200,000. Would refinancing again? They just did it, guys. Would refinancing again make sense at all? I'm guessing if we called the current mortgage holder, they wouldn't just lower our rates. Ha! Exclamation point. So they just did it. And so they got a whole bunch of fees. I don't think it's going to work.
Well, they can go. Okay, so Jack is shaking his head, but
If they can get your 375, it would be worth it, but they have to get really low.
well, I think they can. What did she say they went to? 5 1/8.
5
They
1/8.
They can go down to 4% or 4 1/8 right now
On a 30-year.
on a 30-year and virtually have no fees. Now they've already put a year into it. We faced the same question. We refinanced to a 15-year at 4 1/4 last November. 9 months later, we refinanced again a half a point down to 3.75. Even if you factor in the year that we paid, we were still saving a net $50-$60 a month on our loan. So even after you factored in what we'd already paid, it was still worthwhile.
So wait a minute.
And with the payments. But what I'm getting at is that the companies are now offering, say, 4 1/8 with no costs.
Right.
Really?
So you're now seeing that again, or very, very low cost. So if you can go in and pay it off in 6 months to a year, and she's going to be there 10 years, absolutely it's worth refinancing. You have to look at sort of not just short term, but long term. And plus, the points she paid for the refinance, she can write off once she refinances the loan again.
Well, when I plugged in the computer, I used $2,000 closing costs. So if you take that down to zero,
But
that
I think
changes the
2,000
equation.
I think 2,000 is actually a reasonable amount.
Yeah, I
the
think
origination.
15. You can find anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000.
It's just
being
tough if
totally
you're going to have to,
reasonable.
and also if because it's so soon, I think she can probably use the same appraisal if it's just a couple. You know what I mean? So, well, she just
no,
did it
under HVCC. I'm not sure you can. Although, by the way, HVCC is being repealed and already changed. But I'm not sure they're going to allow
because
that if
she
it's a
did it.
different
She
lender.
refinanced.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, all right.
Because the HVCC rules say that you have to go only back the last 3 months.
I
So-
did a refi on the house I bought, and the one thing they allowed because it was within a year. They said we'll do a drive-by appraisal. We won't walk into the house.
Yeah, different.
And that was cheaper. It was like it was like $250 for the appraisal. So
Yeah.
that was pretty good.
I'm surprised they would do that these days.
I'd like to
Wouldn't you?
can I just point out 5 1/8 is a pretty awesome rate historically.
I know. We're
And-
such pigs.
And no, my big concern, and Doug Duncan and I from Fannie Mae and I were talking about this, is that what happens when we go back to where we were at 6 and 7 and 8%, and people are like, well, I want the 4% rate or I'm not buying.
Yeah.
Does the whole housing market shut down again
Or you
when
know
interest
what?
rates start to go up?
Let's
just
get
wonder.
back to your $50 or $60 that you're saving every
Yeah.
month. In other words, I should have stuck you with a check today. That's my takeaway.
But you didn't even let me offer.
Never.
So.
Here's a final general question.
Didn't I buy you drinks last time? I just want to know. No, go ahead.
I don't know. I think I submitted that, Jack.
I guess you bought it.
Final general question. Someone who's calling him or herself AB. I sold a second home that I owned for 2 years and I made a profit. Can you believe it? Do I have to pay a tax on the profit I made? Do I have a period of time that if I reinvest in another home, the gain is not taxed? So it was a second home, but it doesn't sound like it was rental.
They're a nightmare. No, you owe money. See ya.
You're done.
See your tax preparer for details. And let me just say this to anybody else who is thinking about selling an investment property and you're thinking you want to roll something over. It's called a 1031 tax-free exchange. If you go to thinklink.com and type in 1031, about 1 million articles will come up and explain that you only have a 45-day window in which to identify the property, and then you have to actually close on the property.
And it's a pain in the neck.
The replacement. No, it can be terrific, actually, and it really helps you defer all of the taxes that are due. Defer being the key word, not eliminate.
Hold on a second. Defer. Wait, taxes are going to go up for everybody. So why not pay the tax right now?
Because with property, if you can 1031 it until you die, and then it all changes for your heirs. So you may not want to pay the taxes.
Here's what I think. I've had so many clients who did 1031 with that, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to roll. And they're like, I really want the money. And 5 years later, it bites you in the tush. And rates are gone. Remember, I'm the practical girl. I'm the one who had the clients who like say, yeah, I'm going to do it that way. That makes so much sense. And I'll really screw Uncle Sam. And then I'm left with them like, remember 5 years ago when you said you were going to roll it again? You're like, yeah, but I don't want to do it anymore.
But it's not just the taxes on the profit. Remember, if you've been taking your depreciation, you've got recapture at 25%.
Yeah.
So you may not want to write that big a check that year.
That's only if they were renting it. If it's a second home as a second
No, a second
resident,
home,
right?
not. But you're not going to be able to do a 1031 with a second home. Right. It has to be invested. I said, for all those investors out there.
All right. Well, you know what? Those investors are getting screwed anyway.
I don't know. There's some good ones out there.
All right.
How can we do that? I'm doing an event for investors in 10 days in Atlanta.
Okay, wait a second. If you're a real estate investor, you may want to go to thinklink.com to register for Ilyce's Give it to me, baby.
How to profit from foreclosure and other real estate investments. You know what I did? I set it up like a press conference because the three of us in this room, we're so lucky. When we want to learn stuff, companies give us their best and brightest, and they sit us down and they just talk to us. And we take notes, and then we distill it for you. But I thought everybody else should have that opportunity. So what I did is I found the best and brightest in investing in Atlanta, attorneys, the Georgia Association of Enrolled Agents, they're tax people, best brokers, best investors, successful. They're all going to go sit on a dais, and for a whole day, they're going to tell you how to do what you want to do and how to do it in a smart way. And you'll take notes. You'll be smarter. So that's what it is, October 2nd in Atlanta.
Megan, can I do one more question? It's a bankruptcy question. Please. No. Really? Fast. Come on. I'm bargaining right now. Okay, ready? My parents have recently filed bankruptcy and also been trying to get a loan. I feel bad. Come on. And has also been, this is one less thing Ilyce has to answer in her blogs.
Yes.
And has also been trying to get a loan modification on their home. The lender, SunTrust, it has not been cooperative with regards to doing a loan modification. Although they have been making their monthly mortgage, it's becoming very difficult as my father is now only working part-time. They want to continue paying their mortgage, but it's causing even more of a hardship by not being able to have it modified. How can we get the lender to work with them? They don't want to lose the house.
All right. Here's what I want to tell everybody who's having trouble with their lenders. If your loan is with a lender who is regulated by the OCC, right? Mm-hmm. If you have a federal lender, so that is like J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, SunTrust, anything that has a national in the name of it, and you have been turned down for a loan modification, you should go to this website, helpwithmybank.gov.
Helpwithmybank.gov. Got it.
That is the OCC's consumer-facing site. And on the homepage where it says, need more help, click there, and it'll take you to a complaint form. Now, I've blogged about this about 30 times on MoneyWatch. But just in case you're listening right now and you're having this problem, go file a complaint. They'll give you a case number. When you get the case number, and then you can email me directly through the MoneyWatch blog. There it is. See, up on the right in the blue box, it says need more
help. See
right
up here?
Right there. Go file your complaint. You'll fill it out. It'll give you a case number within 48 hours. You can email me the case number along with your contact information. I will forward it to people at the OCC so it makes sure that it gets a faster look. Do this particularly. This is why I have about a gazillion emails now from you guys.
That is interactivity.
That is
I'm telling you,
that is
customer service I don't get paid for, but happy to help you.
Unbelievable. Thank you, Ilyce. That's great. That really is great.
Let me just give one more little tip. So once you do that, they will take a look at it. If you still don't like the answer, you may not know this. This is another deep hidden secret. You can appeal the appeal. So you can appeal the complaint back to the OCC, particularly if you feel like there have been other kinds of legal irregularities. The OCC's own law department will take a look at the case and see what's going on. If you're saying that, they're telling you this and it's really this, or the paperwork says this, it's really that. They will take a look. So not only can you file a complaint, you can appeal the decision of the complaint. After that, you might have to live with it, or file bankruptcy, or file a lawsuit, or join a lawsuit, where I have them all listed now at Loan Modification Hell Lawsuits.
Okay.
That's
it. All right. That's it. We swear, Megan. So go to the website. Roland, could you put this up, please, so I can just put Ilyce's, put them back up on the screen here. This is her, it is called Home Equity on MoneyWatch.com. She has
it is, the loan modification.
Here it
lawsuits.
is. Lawn house. Your picture won't go away.
No.
It just wants me to keep your. There it is. Here we go. And you know what? Ilyce has all the info. She's totally awesome. Please look at this. She's got the actual district court filings here. Okay, so go to her website. Go to our website. I'm shilling for everybody.
It's becoming her website.
It is hers, whatever. Between, you know what? Ilyce and Lynn's website. That's what I'm going for.
Come visit us.
I'm just
Come
the
visit
face,
us online.
I'm just the face of it.
Hang with us.
Ilyce Glink, you are so awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure. Thanks
Jack
for having
Otter,
me.
you are so awesome.
Oh, anytime, Joe.
Every single day, it's like a holiday being able to work with you.
Christmas.
Okay, I think, Megan, it's time to shut us off. Yeah.
Okay, we're done. It's been many hours that we've all been here. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got further questions for Ilyce, go to her blog, post the questions there. And if you've got a question for next week's Ask the Experts, shoot us an email. AskTheExperts@MoneyWatch.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.